I walked out of Cunningham's without so much as a goodbye, the neatly stapled stack of papers and the manila envelope already softening from my clammy palms. Flynn, Barkley, and the rest of my friends shouted after me, once they'd stopped laughing at the prospect of me getting sued, but I waved them off and stalked out of the bar and into the parking lot. The crisp evening air didn't do shit to help clear my mind. The cool breeze burned my throat as I sucked in gasping breath after gasping breath. Sweat had already started to bead against my temples, and heat rolled over me like endless waves determined to take me down. I made it to the car before the dry heaving commenced, and thanks to a half-drank water bottle in the console, I was able to stave off the impending panic attack. It had been years since I'd had one. College had been hell for me in about 1,000 different ways, one of which being the then unmedicated anxiety that I'd been struggling with for my entire life. The stress of college, with Greek life and tests, and the ever-imposing bar exam only made it worse until, one day, I'd worked myself up into such a frenzy I blacked out in the basement of my frat house and woke up in the medical center. Once the nurse had ruled out alcohol poisoning and overdose, neither of which I felt would be rampant issues at the overpriced university I attended, she settled on anxiety and recommended I go find a therapist and a prescription for Xanax. She changed my life. School got better after that. Balancing fraternity requirements with the expectations of my almost long-term girlfriend and the weight of my senior year class load was finally easy for me. Well, easier. I had a lot on my plate, and some of that was by design, some of it from example, because my parents had high expectations of me and the career I would make for myself, the life I would build, and the legacy that would provide them. The pressure was a lot, sometimes unbearable, and my one extracurricular had started innocently enough. My freshman year, I'd joined the co-ed club sailing team. I still didn't know what I'd been thinking because I had a full course load and an internship that my dad had been arranging since I was in junior high. Spare time wasn't something that existed on my calendar, but I'd needed an outlet for my stress, and I'd always loved being in or on the water. I'd spent plenty of summers on boats, albeit they were more like yachts where I didn't have to lift a finger, but sailing offered me something I was craving: a purpose. Everyone on the team had a job, and everyone was integral to the success of the race, and my position as Pitt was no different. I quickly learned that sailing wasn't for me, but ropes and knots. That was another story entirely. Lost in the memories of that first year of college when I'd learned the difference between a handcuff knot and an anchor hitch, I'd also met Genevieve. She had been sailing her entire life, or at least as long as she could remember. She was at school on a sailing scholarship, which was something I didn't even know existed until she told me about it. I think I fell in love with her the first time I saw her on a boat, her straw blonde hair whipping around her face with the wind as she yelled out to the rest of the team. Genevieve was strong, and she was beautiful, and she was also dating the president of my rival fraternity. I knew better than to poach her because I had a life to build and a legacy to establish, so she and I became friends instead.